Hello there, and a very warm welcome to Chazingdra Chats, the show where we take a stroll through the life stories of people in the Pokemon community, discovering the six Pokemon on their dream team along the way. I'm Charlie Merriman, otherwise known as Chazingdra, a host and commentator for the Pokemon Video Game Championship Series, and a content creator. And today, my guest is the astounding Amanda Lundberg.
That's
Amanda,
me.
how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Yes, I am thrilled to be talking to you tonight. Um, so I say astounding because some of the topics that we're going to be talking about, some of the life stories you provided me with, can only be described as astounding.
Oh boy.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the headlines that guests provide me with are things like growing up, getting into Pokemon. You've gone full in with baboons in Tanzania, things
Yes,
like that.
exactly.
As a little,
Typical
little
everyday stories that I'm sure everyone has.
yeah, as a little taster of what's to come. So you're in for a treat. But before we dive in, for anyone who doesn't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Amanda Lundberg. I go in the Pokemon community by Lundberger, and I am a caster for the Pokemon Go game. And fun little fact about that as well is Pokemon Go is my first Pokemon game that I've ever played, so it's kind of been a learning curve for me along the way. But it's been a lot of fun, and I've met a lot of really, really cool people, including yourself, Charlie, along the way.
I didn't pay you to say that. We just gotta,
Oh,
gotta
oh,
get that in there right now.
didn't I give you my PayPal?
Shh. Yes, so Amanda and I know each other through casting, of course. Such a warm presence on and off camera that Amanda brings, even at midnight now, where you are. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm in Azerbaijan right now, which is already 3 hours ahead of my typical time because I currently live in Belgium, and I know that that's already even 1 hour ahead of where you are in England. So yeah, we're the time crunch here is but it's worth it to talk to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. If you fall asleep halfway through,
Yeah, yeah, just
completely
yeah, yeah.
understand.
Need like a coffee or something.
So, okay, you might be 3 hours ahead right now, but let's take it right back to the start as we get to know you better and discover your hand-picked six Pokemon. And thank you for your openness with what you're sharing today. So, tell us what happened when you were 3 months old.
Yep. When I was 3 months old, I was plucked out of Seoul, South Korea, where I was born. And I was adopted to this really amazing, lovely Swedish American family in Podunk, Iowa, where I grew up in a town of, I think it was 800 people or so. And that's really where I stayed until I was about 18 years old.
Wow, that's absolutely fascinating. I wondered if Lundberg was a Swedish surname.
Yeah, it confuses all Europeans for multiple reasons. They see Lundberg, and so they automatically assume Swede, which
Mm.
then they also automatically assume tall, blonde. Then they see me, and then they get all sorts of confused of whether they should be speaking Swedish to me or English to me or some sort of Asian language, which usually resorts to like a Chinese attempt and stuff. So it's been a lot of fun to see how Europeans like to greet the you're Amanda Lundberg.
Yeah. Yeah. A learning curve indeed. So you said you were in America until you were about 18 years old.
Yep, yep. I
Okay.
was even just in that small town pretty much until I was 18 years old
Yes.
until I went to university. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Um, Tell us about your family.
My family is great. I have my dad and my mom. They were high school sweethearts. They grew up together. I think they got married when they were 19 years old, and
Mm.
they had my brother, their biological son, who is 8 years older than me, named Phil. He's a cool guy, and yeah, and then they couldn't have any more children. They decided they wanted to adopt, and they picked me, which is incredibly cool. And yeah, that's where pretty much my family begins.
That's fantastic. And you said to me beforehand as well that when you were younger, you thought that your family were bears in people suits.
Yeah. Not only were they bears in people suits, it was in a rouge that was just to solely fool me for some reason, and that they would all, including my brother, was also a bear, I think, in my head, and they would all take off their bear suits at night and or their people suits at night and hang out bear, I guess. And I would always try to sneak down. I have no idea why this actually became a thought in my head. I have like a lot of like small like things that maybe like added up to this. Maybe it was just like a big imagination. I think maybe there's something with Berenstein Bears also being adopted and being like something's different. But I'm never quite sure why I thought they were bears. But it's a great icebreaker and party. It's my like number one go-to fact when someone says, "Tell us an interesting or weird fact about yourself." I'm like, I got you.
Yeah, that beats a lot of people's interesting
Yeah.
facts, I imagine. So this is interesting because when you said that, I thought just, younger you learning how the world works, assumed that your family were bears in people costumes. But are you saying that they made you believe?
No. They did.
Okay, right.
They didn't even realize that I thought this until I think I was probably like 20 something years old, and I like brought it up at something to someone else, and they were like, "Do your parents know this?" I'm like, you know what? I actually don't think they do. I think it like just became like a game in my head when I was little, because whenever I still have problems with this today. Like when I lay down, my brain just continues to think about things. And so it's like, as a child, I just never really wanted to go to sleep. So I must have invented this sort of thing to be able to like try to sneak back downstairs or try to, like give me a reason to try to stay up later to catch them. And if I didn't catch them that night, that's okay. I can always try again the next night. And so
that's really heartwarming, actually. But the fact that you weren't scared of the fact that they were
oh,
bears.
no. I was just
Okay.
determined to find out that this was true.
Well, it's a strong start, Amanda.
Yeah. I still haven't found out if it's true or not. They're
True.
still keeping up this sort of thing that they are humans. So I guess we'll see on their later on. Maybe maybe it's just a whole elaborate prank, and when I turn older, they'll be like, "Surprise! We actually were bears."
It's something that can never be proven, really.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly.
We wish you luck on your quest to discover their
Thank you.
identity.
Yeah,
But what we want to do right now, what we want to do right now is discover the identity of the first Pokemon that's going to be on your dream team. So, the aim here is not for Amanda to build the best team. It's just to choose Pokemon that are any Pokemon at all that are special to her in some way. And you've decided on your Pokemon in advance. I have no idea what they are. So, let's find out. What's your first Pokemon, Amanda?
My first Pokemon, and I think that I might have to fight with one of your fellow co-casters who seems to think that this is his favorite Pokemon, and only his. But my favorite Pokemon is Sableye.
Sableye, okay. Now,
how come that Ben Kiriaku?
Ben Kiriaku being, yes, another VG caster who, also has a penchant for Sableye, but hey, that's fine. The reasons will be entirely different, I'm sure. So, hit us, Amanda. How come Sableye?
So Sableye, I think, is just hitting all my life goals. He's this perfect combination of creepy yet cute. And so I was like, okay. I remember when it first came into Pokemon GO, which again, first Pokemon game, I was in Dubai, I think, or it's like some country, and it was Halloween. So they were obviously like starting to release all of these like ghosts or kind of spookier type Pokemon. And I remember seeing it and I was like, what is this? And I was like, I'm not even sure if I like it right away because it was doing like this kind of like fun twitching thing. And then after I saw and caught like the third one, I'm like, no, this Pokemon is it. And so it's been really my favorite since it's been introduced into the game. And for Pokemon Go, I know it's not necessarily building the strongest team, but Sableye is known to be one of the best safe swaps in the game. So if you have a bad lead in your matchup, a lot of people would choose to swap to Sableye to kind of help counter this bad matchup.
That's a really useful fact and a nice secondary reason as to why it's a Pokemon that holds a special place for you. What I want to pick up on there is you said that Sableye is everything I aspire to be, and one of the things you said was creepy.
Yeah, creepy but cute. But cute.
Why is the creepy coming into it at all?
Oh, I don't know. I just think it's like there's part of it like he just looks slightly like mischievous. And
sure. Oh, I see. So I get far more aspiring to be mischievous rather than aspiring to be creepy.
Well, I mean, like 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. But
yeah, fair enough. Well, an excellent first choice, and sometimes you just vibe with a Pokemon. You see it doing its thing. I know exactly the twitchy little dance that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's it. Made in heaven. So, an
Yep.
excellent first choice there. We're going to get to your other 5 in due course, but we're going to go right back to pick it right back up from the whole bear saga you were just talking about, because you also told me that, in your own words, you're an extremely gullible child,
Oh yeah.
and you also said you feel like that shaped your humor. So, tell us a little bit about that.
So I think that I've always been, I mean, I guess the bear story kind of maybe even proves this wrong, but I've always been very trusting in adults, or like people who are like have some sort of responsibility, or like bigger than me, I guess. Not nowadays, because I'm still quite small. So a lot of people are bigger than me, even if they're not necessarily older or wiser. But when I was younger, I had maybe like a really, really healthy respect for authority. And so I just assumed that people are, of course, telling me the truth. And my best friend's father growing up, he would just play like all sorts of like harmless little pranks on me. Like he told me that if I blew on my thumb, that my muscle would grow. And so, of course, he would blow on his thumb and he would flex his muscles. So I, spent like a good next couple days blowing on my thumb to make sure that I was like, my muscles were getting nice and pumped up. That's just one. He also told me that they had a turkey hanging on the wall, like because there was like a hunting family. I'm from the Midwest. That the turkey on the wall got down off the wall at midnight and ate children that were still awake, which was actually probably really smart of him to make sure that I was always falling asleep. The sleepovers never got too crazy. But now looking back, I was like, I wonder if that helped me sleep or actually hindered my sleep. Like, oh, does the turkey know that someone's faking sleeping?
Oh my goodness. So I guess the question I have off the back of that is, at what point does that parent realize that you're gullible, and at what point does it become cruel?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
At
Those
what
are the
point is he
only two
thinking,
that I
how far can I
remember.
push it?
I have ones like of my own family, and both my mother and father take credit for this. So if someone has the story wrong, uh, I wouldn't know either way because gullible child. But I don't know even if you have this in the UK, but are you familiar with Mrs. Butterworth?
I'm not, but we might. It might go by a different name over here. So tell me what you mean.
So it is a maple syrup brand called Mrs. Butterworth, and the
Okay.
shape of Mrs. Butterworth is in the shape of like a human lady, and it's
Okay.
like so it's like it's like be like those honey bears, that actually have honey in it that you can squeeze. But
Hmm.
we were having pancakes for breakfast one day, and I just wasn't a big eater like as a child, and pancakes were not even my favorite dish really, and so I was just taking a really long time eating. I was reading at the table or doing something, and my parents had both asked me multiple times, finish your food and you got to eat your pancakes. And all of a sudden, this tiny voice out of nowhere was like, "Eat your pancakes, Amanda." And I believe like the voice also probably told me that it was Mrs. Butterworth, because I can't imagine that I would just think that the voice was coming from this bottle. But yeah, and so I was like, and I had this really like cute, like almost like raspy smoker's voice as a kid. I was like, "Oh, did you guys hear that? Like Mrs. Butterworth told me to eat my pancakes." And they're like, "Well, you better do it if she told you to." So yeah, she never spoke to me again, but I did finish my meal.
Wow. I feel like I feel like this episode could be like 6 hours long, and we still have.
You're actually just turning into my therapist. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, let's actually dive into this, Amanda.
I feel like we still have amazing things to talk about. But I mean, the impression of Mrs. Butterworth, that was beautiful. I
Yeah,
commend
yeah,
you for that.
she was, yeah,
Um,
she's
so
something
what
special.
yeah, do you think that your mom or something, just under her breath, said that?
Um, so both of them claim that they did it, and both of them basically claim that they did it out of desperation, sort of like this is a last ditch
Mm.
effort to try to get this child to eat, leave the table, breakfast is over. This was also like growing up, I was like always constantly reading like some Goosebumps or like Sweet Valley
Mm.
High or some book. And so I didn't care how long I sat at the table. I would be reading. So it's like, oh, if I had like, oh, I wanted to eat again, I would like snack on something. I was just never in a hurry to do so. And I
I
think that they
see.
were just like, we got to leave this table, child.
Yeah,
Eat your pancakes.
I see. I mean, I was going to say, yeah, not many children would need encouragement to eat pancakes of all things. So yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
yeah.
sense. That makes sense. Just absorbing a good book. Right, I see. But you said that moving swiftly on, you said that gullibility has sort of shaped your humor today.
Yeah, because sooner or later you get fooled so many times that you're just like, I'm not going to get fooled again. So
Mm,
now I'm just a little more cautious when people are telling me stories and I'm noticing a like particular glint in someone's eye while they're saying it, or if I'm like, this sounds like it is slightly unreasonable, I'm going to question
mm,
it in my mind a little bit first beforehand. But in turn, I've also become a little bit deadpan in my humor sometimes, where I may feed like a joking story and see how far it would go. Never anything malicious or anything that would be like actually detrimental. And I would definitely let the person know that it wasn't Mrs. Butterworth and that person wouldn't spend 5 years of their life thinking that a plastic bottle talked to it. Um, but I can appreciate a good little prank here and there, or like goading someone a little bit or teasing a little bit in a way that they will pick up a little bit later.
sure. I mean, your sense of humor is is a wonderful thing and something that so clearly defines you. So it's fascinating to hear where that comes from. I'll keep my eye out for that at future
Yeah, yeah,
events
yeah.
that
Maybe I'll
we're
start
working on together.
pranking you, Charlie. If I do it, it's just because
Exactly.
I appreciate you. I wouldn't do it to anyone that I don't
Sure.
actually care about. That because again, that would just
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like a harmful thing. And I think that's
Mm,
also like growing up, you realize like, oh, this is like sort of a form of like loving teasing a bit.
yeah.
It's like it's not like anything that anyone was doing to be particularly cruel.
Sure. No, of course, of course. An important distinction to make.
Yep.
And now we're going to ask what your second Pokemon is on your dream team. Are they as gullible as you were when you were younger? We'll find
Um,
out.
they were definitely bigger than me. My second favorite Pokemon is Lapras. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. There's something about the Pokemon that just is really fun to me. It's like kind of like not like a mythical creature almost looks like. I think I'm not actually sure what the full basis of it is, but I have like a lot of like nice memory associations with specific Pokemon. And there was a grassroots tournament that had just started right after PvP came out in Pokemon Go, and Lapras was a pretty important Pokemon that you needed for it. But there was only like legacy moves on it, so you couldn't get it basically just right before the tournament. You needed to trade it with someone who maybe had caught it during this specific time. I didn't even have enough candies to power mine up all the way for the tournament, so I was dropping all my extra Lapras and gyms and like feeding them berries. Again, this means nothing to you if you don't play Pokemon Go, but sometimes if you feed berries to Pokemon and gyms, you will get a berry back, or you will get a candy back of that specific Pokemon which you need to power it up. So I was desperately like trying to power up this Pokemon right before the tournament, and I ended up being able to get it pretty close to optimal right before the tournament started, which was like just kind of a fun and really like a grind for it. So
Yeah.
Lapras is my second favorite Pokemon.
That's a great story. I think that the satisfaction that comes with something like that and then getting it ready just before the tournament, that's yeah, and it's a really cool design. It's really cool design. Quite a friendly Pokemon as well.
Yeah,
Kind of
exactly,
Pokemon that
exactly.
looks out for you, has your back.
Hmm.
How did that tournament go out of interest?
So for a while, I was very good at PvP at the beginning. Not very good, but I mean, like, it was, again, a learning curve for me. So I was
Mm,
really dedicated to learning everything about these Pokemon. So I would, like, have little note cards and I would be like, okay, ice type Pokemon. Ice is good against grass type Pokemon. And so these are
mm.
the potential grass Pokemon you're going to see in the tournament. So I would, like, do this for, like, my whole team of 6 and basically like make my own charts of like, okay, so if you see a Venusaur, this is going to be a good matchup. But maybe it's not, okay, because it's also part water type, So it was
Mm.
a whole like chart of madness like being filled out at my desk at work. And when people come in, I would just like shuffle those papers aside and be like, yes, this report, right, guys, right?
Working hard, hardly working. Um, very nice. Yeah. Well, that's the Lundberger difference, right?
Yeah,
You put
yeah,
that work in.
exactly.
Well, fantastic. And now let's let's go back to your college days, Amanda.
Sure.
So
Let's.
you said to me that you worked for the college TV station.
I did, yeah. It was so when I first started, I knew that I wanted to do something in electronic media, and that was my major. So I have a Bachelor of Arts in Electronic Media, and that kind of ranged the gamut of video shooting and video editing, um, voice work stuff, a lot of graphic design, all these kind of things, hodgepodge, fall under this category. But to get some experience and also to get paid because college students are broke, I decided to work for the college newspaper and also the college TV studio. And so basically, every I think it was not every single day, but once a week there was like a news production. So we would go in, we would pitch stories, we would have to go to the different places around the city, interview people, put together news packages for it. There was news anchors, and we all had to like share different roles in that. So sometimes be a news anchor, sometimes you would run the teleprompter, sometimes you would just do the stories that week, and you wouldn't actually really have a job for the thing, but you contributed every single week. And then of course, as you contribute, you get better and you get faster at doing these types of stories. And then as I got older as well with it, I became like the producer or the director, depending on the who was there that evening for these shows, which are like the people who are mainly making the production work, or that's the producer. And the director is the person saying like, okay, we're going to camera 1, we're going to camera 2, these sorts of things.
I see. Okay, so for my benefit, and also for other people who maybe aren't so familiar with how the sort of age tiering system works over in the States. So college, roughly how old are we talking at this point?
18 to 21.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And so is what you're saying that you rotated around all those different jobs, so you got experience on all
So
of them.
starting at 18, you're kind of at the lower end of the totem pole, so you're having to really do the stuff that no one really wants to do as much. So it might be like the not as fun news stories, or the news stories that require you to get up a lot earlier, or maybe travel a little bit farther away. But of course, as you go up the pecking order, you start to take on the jobs that you want for yourself a little bit later on. And then also with great power comes great responsibility. And that's what I kind of got in the producer and director role as well, because then you have to, of course, help teach everyone else, and you have to kind of run a show, so you have to make sure everyone under you is also doing their jobs.
I see. Okay, but then that's interesting because I assume that the role that you prefer would be presenting the news, given that you're now a caster. But so it
Yeah.
was actually directing and producing.
Yeah, so that's actually funny because after I graduated and everything, and I was out in the real world and having a job, but of course playing Pokemon Go, I started talking with a couple other people in the Pokemon Go community, and we made this like kind of community channel where we were like talking about Pokemon Go and grassroots tournaments. And I just signed on as the video editor for them. I was like, oh, I know how to edit videos. It's basically what I went to school for. So I would edit videos, I would make the graphics. If we went live on Twitch or anything, I would run everything behind the scenes. And in a pinch, if we couldn't find a caster or if we couldn't do something, then I would do that part of it as well. But I would always be running the stuff on the Twitch stream at the same time as casting. So it's like it's a little bit harder to to be fully in it, because you're having to make sure that you're switching the scenes and doing all running all the videos. So yeah, I would always saw myself as a more behind the scenes person, but the in front of this camera stuff always interested me. And I think as I got older, I got less scared of trying to do it as well, because when I was in college, it was just kind of I remember auditioning for it when I first started, and I was like, oh no, this is not for me, this is scary. This is a live camera on you the whole time. What if the teleprompter goes out? What if I don't know what to say? What if I panic and throw up or something? And yeah, I don't know, I think a
Well,
lot of things ended up changing to put me on the
yeah,
trajectory that here I am now.
I was going to say how things change. I mean, yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes these things come from completely left field and surprises.
Yeah.
That's an interesting trajectory to hear about. And you mentioned two topics to me on this regard before we recorded, which was Night Watch and also a baboon stealing your lunch in Tanzania. So,
Yeah. Night Watch was the show that I was the director and producer for, and it's night like a like Lancelot or King Arthur,
Yeah.
like these types of like Knights of the Round Table, and not like, I think it was like a clever play on like nighttime watch, because it was a
Mm.
show that was in the evening, but it was meant to be the other way around. And it was basically, yeah, just a college run show. So we had like a lot of musicians or different talent that would be from our local areas, and we would bring them onto the shows. We would either interview them, they would do like a whole like, musical production. Maybe there was a guy who was writing sketches that are sort of like The Office, and
Mhm.
so he was like writing different ones, and shooting and directing it, and then each episode would be aired on a different episode of Night Watch and stuff. So it was like a hodgepodge and really cool collection of different stories that people did. And I think it also changed throughout the years as well. So under that was what it was while I was the director, but I know that now it's probably something completely different. And it was actually shown to the whole city of Waverly, which is not a lot of people. That is probably like 5,000, 6,000 people. But anyone could tune in to watch this college run station. And I think a lot of the people in the community did like to do that because they like to see what was going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a huge amount of people for the age you were at the time.
Yeah.
Um, Very exciting stuff. And then you found yourself in Tanzania.
Yeah. So when I was a senior, you got to kind of like, it's not like a dissertation, but I wanted to do something special to get like a little bit like one of my credits for school. And I pitched the idea of working with a nonprofit organization to like film for them, like a thing that they could send out to their donors. And then of course like this would count as credit for school because I could show it off at school. It also would be a nice portfolio piece as well. So I actually got in contact with this California organization that's still around. It's a really great organization called Global Partners for Development. And I pitched the idea. I said, hey, I'm really interested in what you guys are doing in Africa, in Tanzania. Like, would it be possible to go along with to shoot some stuff, get some interviews with you guys, and so you guys can show it to your donors and everyone, and I can use this as my piece. And they obviously they agreed, but they also said, we're not paying for you to do this because we're a nonprofit. So if you can raise your own funding the way that our sponsors do, or anyone who goes with on these types of trips to see what the money is going towards, we'd love to have you, and we can have further discussions. So I put together a whole proposal for college. Got my professors to sign off on it as an agreement. One of my friends who actually graduated the year before said that she would love to come with. She wanted to do something fun and give back as well. So we went to Tanzania to shoot a documentary about water projects, uh, women being able to like have education, so school for younger girls, because a lot of times in some of the families they don't have enough money to send both of their children to school, and if there is a male child, the male child will usually get priority. So this was like giving a little bit of extra funding, also helping with like teaching, educating about like if you own a goat and you slaughter that goat for meat, then you have meat for one day. But if you raise a goat, then you'll have milk. They can possibly have more goats later on. So it was like a whole list of like really, really cool things that this company was doing. And yeah, went to Tanzania with them to do that. And of course, you got to do a couple fun things as well, like go on safaris. And that is where a baboon stole my lunch.
What was the lunch?
It was just a boxed lunch. It was an apple, I think, like a sandwich that was wrapped in saran wrap, and
Mm.
I really didn't get a good look at it before the baboon stole it from me. And
Mm.
the even worse part was they had only given a specific amount of boxed lunches because there was only a specific amount of us that was going on the trip, and they baboons, apparently they're pretty smart, and they got to realize like, okay, these vehicles usually have food in them and stuff. So the places never wanted to bring extra food with, because then that gave the animals extra
Mm.
incentive to try to steal the food. So there was no food for me after the baboon stole my lunch. So everyone's giving me like the leftover things that they don't want, but of course they're eating their main meals. I don't uh, begrudge them any of that. But it was kind
Mm.
of funny because we were sitting at a picnic table, and I had set my camera down on the table, and everyone was even joking about it because this baboon was just like eyeing me from like, he was standing on a rail, and everyone's like, oh, be careful. And like right as they said that, it just launched onto our table, and I instinctively grabbed for the expensive yet non-edible thing, being my camera, because I didn't want it to take or break the camera. And of course, it was just going for the food. And it's just like, it's such a vivid thing put into my brain where
Mm.
it took the sandwich out of the thing, put it in its mouth, looked at me, and then used its hands to grab the box that the box lunch was in, and then just ran off. I was just like,
It looked at you as it did it.
yeah, yeah. I
That's
was
the
just like,
impulse
yeah.
imagery. That's
You see what I did
so.
here, lady?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It sort of it knew that the camera would be a distraction, maybe. It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is now is the opportunity
Yeah,
to
I
get
mean,
my
I think
lunch.
they're pretty smart. I also saw one like stick a straw into a juice box. So I mean, like
Ah,
those baboons were incredibly, incredibly smart. They knew what they were doing. They
wow.
had probably stolen many lunches before, and I was
Oh
just the
no.
unlucky one in the group that I was with.
Oh no. That's well, I hope you've had plenty of lunches since then to
Yeah,
get over
I am. I'm a lunch
it.
eater now.
Wow. Absolutely fascinating. Well, we're gonna pivot away and ask about your third Pokemon now, Amanda, on your
Okay,
dream team.
my third Pokemon on my dream team is either it's either the evolution of which is Alolan Ninetales or it's Alolan Vulpix. Just
Okay.
because foxes are my favorite animals, and I think the Alolan version of it just looks majestic, right? I mean, it's like this
Mm,
like icy version. It's just like you know, flowing mane. I don't know.
mm,
It could
yeah.
potentially even be up higher. It's definitely not number one, but Alolan Ninetales is definitely top five worthy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, interesting that you're unsure of whether it's Vulpix or Ninetales. What for you are the what speaks to you about Vulpix and what speaks to you about Ninetales?
Vulpix is sort of like everything that I like about a Pokemon in general, being that they're cute and small. Like
Mm.
when I first started playing Pokemon, I was very upset that they were getting visibly less cute as I evolved them to make them stronger. And I've used this example before, but as I evolved my Bulbasaur into an Ivysaur, I was like, oh, that's that's not great. And then when I evolved it into Venusaur, I was like, oh, really? That's what it is. Oh, I should have just kept it as the Bulbasaur because
Yeah.
Bulbasaur is very cute. Vulpix is very cute. I mean, it's just like a
Mm,
cuddly little fox kit. It's like you
mm,
would just want to hold it. Uh, but I have to say, the Alolan Ninetales is majestic and beautiful, and one of the only Pokemon that I think that really, when it evolves, it's just as good looking or it's just as cool. So it's stronger, but it maintains its
mm.
cuteness.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting point actually. You're right. There aren't too many Pokemon that seem to that retain quite as much of that sense as Vulpix and Ninetales do. Um, yeah, well, funny you should mention foxes right now because that's what we're going to talk about. You said your
Mm.
favorite animal is the fox.
Yes, yes. I love basically all animals. I think I have like a higher affinity for animals than I do even a lot of people. And that's not to say that I don't like people. I just really like animals. But again,
Mm.
to this mischievous type of thing, there's something about foxes that just kind of speaks to me in a way. Like they always get a bad rap in the stories, they're always like
Mm.
kind of like cunning when they're kind of like cruel or like they always get this bad rap, but I really just think that they're a smart animal and
Mm.
that they
Yeah.
shouldn't be faulted for that.
Mm. No, absolutely. I got to say, I'm fully with you. Foxes are also my favorite animal, actually.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah,
Finally, look at us.
yeah,
Twinsies.
exactly. And I completely agree. It's the fact that some people see foxes as rodents or vermin is just
Yeah.
I can't fathom that. You know.
Yeah, same. I mean, that we've seen
Um,
how the majestic fox, they're just so cute, but they're playful as well. You watch them like
mm,
jump around in the snow or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do I remember you telling me once that you went to it might be an island in Japan, a
Yeah.
fox, some kind of fox sanctuary or something like that?
Yeah, it's up in the northern part of Japan. I think I took like a 4-hour bullet train from Tokyo,
Mm,
and but I was like, while I was there, I knew that I had to see this place because I saw it like on Instagram, and it was like kind of like a popular place, and of course, like anywhere that kind of houses animals, I'm sure that it has some ups and downs to it too, to like people from an outsider perspective. But there was an area of it where, because you're not allowed to like touch the foxes or anything like that.
mm,
They are wild, but they're like, I think that probably they were injured at one point or some sort of thing happened, but then they just kept breeding, and now there's like a lot of foxes. But it's like a very
mm,
wide like habitat. It's not like they're crammed in cages or anything. They're running
mm,
around, but they know that there's a certain area that people will go to feed them because you can buy for very small amounts of money like a food pouch, and
mm,
they're slightly like domesticated there, almost like, because there's like
mm,
benches that they can sit on. And so of course, like the more alpha foxes, they've already gotten their places on perched and they're ready for the people to be throwing them food. But I
mm,
also noticed like some of them are like wagging their tails a little bit, like in anticipation, or
mm.
like moving their paws, and I was just like, this is very dog or cat like behavior. This is like a domesticated animal type of behavior.
I have heard this as an evolutionary theory that foxes over time, the more we pet them, will, you know, start to wag their tails, maybe grow longer ears and become more dog-like. That sounds like in Japan. That sounds like an absolutely incredible place.
Yeah.
So Fox fans unite,
Yes,
and from
exactly.
there on to your fourth Pokemon, Amanda. Moving away from foxes, or maybe it is another fox-based Pokemon. What's it going to be?
Well, my next one is not fox based at all, but keeping up with this ice theme of like the Lapras, the Alola Ninetales, my next one is Frostlass. Uh,
Mm.
did you see that one coming? I don't know.
I didn't see it coming. No, I admire this propensity for the ice types, though, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know
So,
what it is. Ice and Ghost apparently so far, pretty much too, because the Sableye is a part Ghost type. So
oh yeah,
yeah,
sure. That's true. That's true. That's a little theme that's coming out. So why Frostlass?
Frostlass is just something about the Pokemon, like the design of it is very cool. I also kind of relate in the way that it's like a feminine Pokemon, so it's like a Pokemon that is looks just a little more naturally ladylike.
Mm,
And so, like, of course, there's also like a woman myself. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I can't remember the exact Pokédex entry or something, but it's something very creepy and weird, or something
mm,
about like eating men's souls or something like that. I was like,
yeah,
okay, well, fine, like, well deserved, Frostlass. You
yeah.
you are
It's
interesting.
it's based, and I can't remember the exact story now, but it's based on a Japanese folklore tale, I believe. And yes, I I don't know the facts too well, but it's something to do with enchanting men
Mm,
and luring them and then freezing them and eating them, sort of
yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah, typical things.
Yeah, as you said with Sableye, aspiring to be creepy.
Yeah.
That's keeping up that theme. No, it's a really Frostlass is. I'm trying my best to avoid the pun of saying it's a really cool Pokemon, but it is. It
Yeah.
is. Um,
This guy.
thank you. Okay, so far it's Sableye and Lapras and Alolan Vulpix slash Ninetales and Frostlass.
Yep.
Okay, interesting. Interesting to see how the last two Pokemon go. But before we get to those, you proposed to your husband, Amanda.
I did. Just a couple years ago now. I was like, man, time really flies by.
Mm,
um yeah, it was actually kind of funny. So during COVID, I think there was a time where it really made or broke a lot of relationships, right? Because it's like you really, if you're potting with someone, you can really only see that person for,
mm,
basically a year. And it was actually in that regard like really great. We had already been living together. We'd been together for quite a long time, and we started getting a little bit more serious about getting married. Since I'm American and he is Belgian, a little bit was more like, not like we had to, but legally we're like, okay, it would make sense for us, because that way we're getting a lot of the perks of me living in Belgium with him. And but even before that, we had talked about like, marriage maybe isn't for us. Like he
mm,
said, I don't know if I ever want to get married, and I said that's also fine. Like I don't know if I want to get married, so
mm,
that's not a hindrance for our relationship. But at some point our conversation kind of went from we're not getting married to, well, if we get married to, when we get married. And so it just
Yeah.
became like this thing in our heads where we were like, oh, like, yeah, we'll probably end up getting married someday. And he was always joking around with me. He was like, oh, yeah, but you're such an independent woman. I'm surprised that you're not proposing to me. And I was just like, I don't have any problem with that. Can I just do it then? Because he was always saying like he didn't want to wear a ring. And even now he doesn't wear a ring. And he was like, no, it still has to be something special. So I was like, okay. So when I was in the US, for my brother's wedding, which my husband couldn't come back for because only American citizens at that time could fly into America post-COVID, just world healing a little bit. I was gone for like a month and some because I hadn't seen family in so long, and we really started to miss each other. And apparently, I didn't know this, but he also ordered a ring at that time. And he told his best friend about it. But again, because of COVID, just production on everything was quite slow. So by the time that I had arrived back to Belgium, the ring was not there yet. So this is like a little backstory that I didn't know. But while I was there, I started thinking, what is something that is like kind of uniquely us or uniquely him? And there is a beer in Antwerp that it was like, oh, was it like a bar that we would frequent together or that we would go hang out at? And it's like a beer that's specifically made in the city that we live in. And so I contacted the brewery and I asked them if I could get a special glass of this particular beer made with the brand of the beer on one side and marry me with a question mark on the other. So the plan was, since he didn't want me to propose with a ring, that I would, we would set it up. I would go to the bar, I would bring us back drinks, and I would propose with the glass. And so I asked his friend, is this okay? Like, could you help me set this up? Do you think that he would even like this? Or do you think that he was joking that he wanted to be proposed to? His friend, also knowing that he had bought me a ring, was like, didn't really know what to do because he was kind of put in the middle, but he said, I think he would really like that. So he helped me set it up as well. And so that's exactly what I did in the middle of the big town hall area in Antwerp, because it was in August, I believe. So it was like really nice weather out. I went inside. I told everyone I was going to get a beer. I brought the one out for him. And then, of course, then we got married.
Wow. That is a fantastic story. I love all, I mean, that could be a movie. I love all the twists and turns as well of who's gonna propose when and then how you actually went about it. So you contacted the brewery and had a special glass made. Wow.
And actually, truth be told, I had 200 of these special glasses made because they wouldn't let me order just one. But then I was like thinking, if he says yes, then we can just give them out as like party favors at the party. Of course, then we can have like a specific, because it also had our names on it. So I was like, oh, that's a nice like party favor. And if he says no, then I have 200 glasses to smash on the ground.
Which, as we know, you love to do.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a win-win, I think, either way.
Wow, I love as well how it became a sort of, well, I'll propose if you want me to. I got no problem. Fine. Became a one-upmanship.
I actually remember thinking, just because like, that we were talking about when we get married, we were on like a little like ship in Antwerp, and there was like a dinner. It was like one of our favorite restaurants, and it was like a very romantic area. And he was like, oh, do you want to take a walk at sunset? Maybe it's something nice. And I remember thinking in my head, I hope he does not propose to me right now, because what am I going to do with these 200 glasses? But luckily the ring wasn't there yet. And he also said, I probably wouldn't have anyway, because I don't know what I would have done, but I would have probably waited for something like special, or until, I had like a good idea.
Imagine if you just blurted out at that point, don't propose to me.
No. Are you sure you want to go outside? No, let's just stay here surrounded by all these people and just let's not talk for the rest of the evening.
I love as well how that one friend was stuck in the middle organizing between you both as well.
Well, I think that his overall like hope was that we would like that Jeroen would have like the ring in his pocket when I proposed, and then he would just be like, oh, I also have this. You've seen like stories like couples that are planning to propose at the same place, but alas, I got to it first.
Yeah, well,
I won the proposal game.
And you'll never let him forget it.
Yeah.
Well, that's an incredible story. And now I'm going to ask you to fill in a fifth slot on your dream team of Pokemon, Amanda.
It's gonna be Umbreon.
Hmm.
Umbreon's a cool Pokemon. Like like again, now if we're gonna go with Ghost, Ice, and Dark type Pokemon, because again, Sableye half Ghost, half Dark. It's the best Eevee evolution, and there's a lot of Eevee evolutions, so that is saying something. The shiny
Mm.
looks even cooler. Um, it's one of my favorite Pokemon to watch in Pokemon Go too. All the other casters like kind of give me a hard time about it because whenever Umbreon gets hit with an attack, it's like little paws fly up in the air. It's like, ugh. And it's like it's my favorite thing to watch in the game.
I wish I had that sound effect you just made of Umbreon being hit in the game as like a GIF or something. Just put that into Pokemon Go. I think that would that would do really well. Interesting. Umbreon, and that Umbreon is also kind of foxy. I guess all of Eevee's
Yeah, yeah.
evolutions have
So
that fox thing.
actually, while we're on that subject, do you think that Umbreon is more cat-like or dog-like? Because again, foxes are actually quite in the middle ground for that as
I
well.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I've always thought that. I've got the stealth of cats, but then they look more like dogs, I guess. So
Mhm.
Umbreon, my instinct says, oh, it's tricky, isn't it? My instinct was dog, but I
Yeah, mine
totally
too.
see where the cat thing comes from.
Yeah, there's a one of my friends in the Pokemon community. Her name is Katie, but we've been having like a faux argument about this for a while. She's like, Umbreon is clearly a cat. I was like, oh no no no, it's a dog.
Mm,
But I can see either way. I can see
yeah.
Umbreon being a cat way more than I can see Lantern being a dolphin. So, which is also a big debate in the Pokemon
Is
Go
that a
community.
debate? Oh,
Yeah,
wow. I've never, ever thought of Lantern as a dolphin. I mean,
because
anglerfish is clearly
because
the
you're a smart
basis.
man, Charlie. That's why. Because you're a smart
Well,
man.
I just Chinchou and Lantern presumably are based on anglerfish,
Right?
right? So I
Of
just
course. Yeah, yeah.
assumed it was.
They literally have the little
Assumed
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. Wow,
but yeah,
wow, it all goes on in Pokemon Go, doesn't it?
yeah,
Fascinating.
yeah.
Anyway, okay. Then Umbreon over Glaceon as well, so not an ice type, but again in this
Oh
nexus
yeah,
of
that's a good
dark ghost
point.
and ice.
I think it had already just become my favorite when it came out in the game, and
Mm,
Glaceon didn't come out until much later.
mm.
So maybe yeah, it could have changed, but I don't know. I just the design of Umbreon is sleeker than the rest. I don't know. It's cool. I really like
Mm.
it.
Okay, so fifth Pokemon Umbreon. Well, now Amanda, you've talked a lot about you and Pokemon Go, and you've said as well because Go was your first game. You say it takes you a while to learn the names of the Pokemon, get used to that. But I think it's time we asked you about you getting into Go, and then from there getting into casting.
Yeah. So I mean, from Go, I was hooked from the very beginning. So I think the game came out in 2016, and when I say right away, I mean I'm within the first month I
Sure.
downloaded it. But even to that, I was a late start for a couple of my friends. So I mean, I think I was like maybe 2 weeks behind the craze, and I was also like, it's Pokemon. That's not something I really know anything about. But everyone around the globe is playing this game. And some of my friends, close friends in the city, were playing it as well. So I said, all right, I'm going to download it. I'm going to see what this is all about. And I quickly grew to love the game. And it was like so exciting for me because besides, the starter Pokemon, the partner Pokemon like Squirtle, Bulbasaur, I mean, I could probably name like 6 Pokemon
Hmm.
just from context clues and, you know, being a human and not a bear. Um, but then it was like all of a sudden I was like, oh, what is this? Oh, what is this? And so it's like every Pokemon that I caught, it was like, oh, a new Pokedex entry, and then I would go and look at what the Pokemon was, and I just remember like hunting around the city, and I was like, this is so much fun.
Mm.
And then when PvP introduced into the game, I was like, oh, this is not just fun, this is competitive. And I love a good competition. So I really put the time and effort into learning the Pokemon so I could play them in like different grassroots tournaments. I made a lot of friends in not even in the city, but just basically around the globe playing PvP. And then after that, there was like the first like year of Pokemon Go that was introduced to the Play Pokemon circuit. I didn't compete in any of them because I was traveling a lot too between the US and Belgium. And then at one point, I was like, I saw like some good friend, like Speediest Chief and like Zionic, Butters, and Caleb casted over the first EUIC for Pokemon Go. And I was like, oh, this is cool. This is something. And so I was like, I think I want to try that. I mean, like, I have a background in broadcasts. Like, I know all these Pokemon. I know like a majority of these trainers. I just want to give a shot at it. And at that point too, there's a guy Connor who worked with Limitless, and he was doing a lot of the casting selections for the trading card game, and also they were kind of like lumped in Go with that as well. So he wasn't super familiar with Go, but he was like in a way that also made it great because he just by watching a lot of different reels, he like recognized people who were not like necessarily great at the game. Like I'm not great at the game. I'm decent at the game. I'm good sometimes at the game, maybe not anymore. But he recognized that, oh, she can actually talk about the game though, and she can bring in like a little bit of character, and she can like do some stuff. And honestly, like at the very beginning, it was hard for them to find Go casters who were interested in casting and not competing in it as well. So I think I helped fall into a niche of that very quickly. And so I started talking with Connor. I sent in my like highlight reel that I had made from some grassroots tournaments that I had casted over, some other stuff, and yeah, and I got started in Stuttgart in 2023, and basically haven't looked back since.
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly, yeah, right place, right time, and you have the right skill set for it. Would it not have been Stuttgart 2022, late 2022?
Yes, but it would have been the 2023 season.
Right, sure. Yes, there is always that distinction, isn't there? Incredible, and the fact that I believe you told me before, it was your friends really who got you into Pokemon Go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my like friends who stopped playing the game, who never even really stuck around long enough to be part of the PvP portion of the game. They were like, I mean, they were part of the craze, and then when the craze died down, they started playing another game or lost a little bit of interest. But for me, like something about the game was just like really magic. I mean, and I suppose that's true for most people when they play their first Pokemon games. For me, it just happened a little bit later in life, but it was like there's something really cool about this. And then the community that I made, like this new group of friends that I would never have met otherwise, became like a very important part of my life. So, I mean, like, yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely incredible community and opportunity, and it's wonderful that you're really thriving with it and such a valued member.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Well.
again, like it's a little bit of right place, right time, and just like
Sure.
a lot of people willing to take a chance and a risk with me. And then I got to cast EUIC, basically my first year of doing the casting thing, which those were community streams. Even they weren't even official Play Pokemon streams yet. And then and then this year as well, I got to cast LAIC in Brazil, so that was an incredible experience.
Yeah. Well, really inspiring stuff, Amanda, and yeah, I mean, up and up from here. I hope for you, Amanda. But now for the very final Pokemon on your dream team. Let's complete that team.
Okay. So I have to preface this by saying I always have trouble rounding out a list because I never want something to be completely finalized. So this is like
Sure.
hard for me going through it. So I will give this one with a little asterisk next to it, and I will say subject to change because I don't feel as strongly about this Pokemon as I do the other ones. But I would say my 6 Pokemon, at least at the moment, is Sudowoodo.
Okay, Sudowoodo.
Simply because it is adorable, and it does this like funny dance when it throws an attack, it's like this, at the end, like a little dance move where it kicks its leg and puts its arms out in the air, and I was just like, this Pokemon is it, like this is really great.
So your team is Sableye, Lapras, Alolan Vulpix / Ninetales, Frostlass, Umbreon, and Sudowoodo. Yeah, Sudowoodo is definitely the outlier.
Yeah.
But it's also fascinating to hear the reasonings behind different people's chosen Pokemon, because sometimes it's something they've done well in a tournament with, or just something from way back in their childhood. For you, more often than not, it's sort of they do this really fun animation.
Yes, exactly. I think that almost like it all comes down to how cool they look while they're moving. Almost like I think that's absolutely true for maybe all of them except for Frostlass, because Frostlass doesn't really like move too much. Although she does this really cute like giggle thing where it's like this. So I don't know, but yeah, the other ones are just like cute to me. Where I think like Frostlass is cool.
Interesting. I imagine the cute giggle thing is sort of a luring thing as well.
Yeah,
It's
before they
let your guard down and then it will freeze you.
yeah.
Sort of thing. Okay. Well, I love the diversity on that team. Or at least it'd be interesting to see how other people from the Pokemon Go community, what picks they make and how similar they are. Because obviously the Pokemon between the different trading card game, video game, Go, Unite, etc., they all have different merits to them. But it's a charming team. I guess that's the word I'd use. It's real. There's a cheekiness to it, but also a lot of fun to it. But now I want to know, if you had to choose one of these to be your partner Pokemon, I think I might know which one you're going to choose. Which one would it be?
Yeah, it's going to be Sableye for sure. Yeah. And it's just simply because it's my favorite. It was the first favorite that I had in the game. Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, true love never dies.
Yeah, certainly doesn't. Glint in Sableye's eyes and a glint in yours as well for that Pokemon. Okay, a fantastic choice with that. But now, slightly more abstract. If you were a Pokemon, what do you think you would be? Now, we've obviously heard a lot about you over the past hour or so.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure everyone will be making up their own minds as to what they think you would be. But what in your mind do you think you
are? So I gave this a little thought, because it could also be what I would like to be. And I decided that I would probably be Eevee. Because Eevee is almost similar again, like almost little fox-ish looking, very cute, small, but has a lot of potential, right? I mean, like you can stay as an Eevee if you want to stay as an Eevee, but if you want, you could take multiple different paths in your life, and you could go ahead, and you could, be very charming, be a Sylveon, or you can be a little bit cool and be a Glaceon. And so it leaves a open door of opportunities saying that I would be an Eevee. Plus, you could also just put me on your shoulder.
Yeah, I love that answer. Full of potential. Yeah, that's a really that's a really solid choice. Okay, an Eevee. Well, how about you? What do you think? What do you think Amanda would be? I'd love to know in the comments below. I'm sure Amanda would be fascinated to read that as well. Do you agree? Or do you think it would be something else? Or, a Pokemon that she's already mentioned, perhaps? Let us know. It'd be fascinating to read. And so now, speaking of that, speaking of comments and different thoughts, it's time for some questions that we've had from the community. So I put out a post online asking for some questions from the community for Amanda, anything that people wanted to know about the one and only Amanda Lundberg. And Amanda doesn't know which of those questions that I've chosen to ask. So let's find out what Amanda thinks about this. And I apologize as ever if I get any of your names wrong or handles wrong in terms of pronunciation as I read these out. So to kick things off, of course, everything you do, really, and not least Pokemon Go, means that you do a lot of traveling. And V Victory VGC would like to know, and as would I, what's your favorite city that you've traveled to? Tough question.
Yeah, this is a super tough question, because I do travel to a lot of different places, and so many cities have different merits to them. What immediately popped into my mind, and it's probably because I was there, a couple years ago, and then was just back just earlier last year for Worlds would be in Japan. Would probably be Tokyo. Tokyo is
Mm.
just an absolutely incredible, cool city to visit. Um, I think it also seems very clean and very livable, but as a tourist especially, they're so accommodating and welcoming to you. And it's just like a hodgepodge of different cultures and ideas. The food there is amazing. There's this robot cafe, which is insane. Uh, and like, I think it has everything that you would want to find in a city, but still is comfortable and respectable and safe.
Mm.
Yeah, Tokyo is probably the city that I would have to pick as a favorite city I've seen.
Great answer. Great answer. I've also been to Tokyo, and yeah, it's stunning. It's definitely somewhere to go. If you haven't already, an experience to have. Robot Cafe, briefly. How's that work?
Have you been to the Robot Cafe?
I don't think I mean, I think I'd remember it if I
Yeah,
had.
no, you definitely would remember it. Yeah, if anyone goes to Tokyo, you almost have to, and just like Google it, type in like Robot Cafe. You have to get tickets for it ahead of time, and it's
Mm.
just like an insane show of like 20 different performers dressed up in like robot costumes and different costumes, and they're putting on skits in Japanese, of course, but it's just like it's over the top insane. They're like, and they're just like feeding into it, of course, and these people are putting everything into their performance. Like they recognize the hilarity and the over the topness, and they're saying we are here for it and we're bringing this 100%.
Mm. I see. I assumed it'd be like robot staff, but the fact that there's
No,
people
no, no,
dressed
no,
up
no,
as
no.
robots, that is really fascinating. Okay. Yeah, I will be looking that up after after our call. Okay, well, great answer, Tokyo. And then similar note, great question from Lurgan Rocket here. What's been your favorite experience since joining the Play Pokemon circuit as a member of staff whilst working at an event and outside of an event? So at a social, for example.
Yeah, so I will go ahead and say this, and this is not an offense to the card game, the video game, or Unite, but Pokemon Go has the best community socials that you will find in a game. And I do think it has a little bit to do with the fact that we are smaller than the other games, so we don't have as many competitors who are there, but the competitors are tight knit. So in any city that you go to, if you want, you will hang out with other Go people. There's like a social that's usually put on at some local restaurant or bar, and everyone in the community goes to this. We have like the super young competitors playing. We have the people who are older. We have the people who are competing on day two, hanging out still with everyone. And yeah, we have it's just incredible. It's people that you only get to see pretty much at these Pokemon regionals. The first big one that I went to was in Liverpool last year, and it was like at that point it was the biggest Pokemon Go event that we had had to that date, and they had rented out one of those like barcade places where it was like you could play skee ball and like the basketball games and like ping pong and pool and everything. And I think we had like there was like 170 competitors, and I think like over 100 of those people were out at that social gathering that night. And it's like one of the harder parts also being a caster is like of course we have early morning call times, and you want to make sure that you're sharp and you're with it for the next day, that you've also put in a little bit of the research of the players, what they're bringing and everything. But at the same point, you just want to make sure that you're there and hanging out and being part of the incredible community. So the Liverpool one is the first one that pops into my mind, just because it was so large, and it was just getting to see so many people from so many different countries, just
Mm.
hanging out over their love for Pokemon Go.
I mean, from what little I've seen of the Pokemon Go social side of things, it's absolutely incredible and so cool that you have everyone of all ages hanging out as
Yep.
well.
And one
That's
one
really
fun
special.
thing that I also want to point out from that is the fact that you said Lurgan Rocket. I know exactly who that is, because while I also think this is different in the card game and the video game, we go by our in-game names,
Mm.
like on the screens and everything too. You wouldn't see Amanda Lundberg, you'd see Lundberger.
Yeah, yeah,
And so a lot of that too, like, is recognition. So a lot of times we're calling each other by like the in-game name rather than our actual names, because that's how we got to know that person first. It's not always true. Depends if the in-game name is longer than the person's actual name. Sometimes you'll end up doing what is shorter, but a lot of times people, like, if you shout out something EJ, which is not even the person's name, he knows to turn it around that someone's talking to him.
And briefly, Logan also asked about your favorite experience whilst working an event as well.
Ooh, that is a lot more difficult because at this point I've done quite a few, and each one brings a different and unique experience of, like, also getting to cast with different people. Different games are really incredible to watch. Recently, outside of ICs, which I think is just, actually, no, I'm gonna just go with that. Like, casting over the Latin America International Championships this past year was insane. It was the LATAM community is just so hype in everything that they do. We could hear through our headphones the roar of the crowd when certain players were on screen. And I think it was distracting, for the other games as well, because there was so many people chanting and, like, jumping up and down. There was so much passion. And then it's just, like, also, like, the encouragement for other people to play as well. Like, the champion, in an interview, he said, like, last year I was in 3rd place or 4th place. And he said, I remember looking up at the stage saying, next year, this is going to be me. And now I'm telling you who is watching, next year this could be you. Like, come here, come, let's play this game. And I was just like I'm welling up with tears. I was just like, man, this is such an emotional thing, and it's just a game, but it's really, like, brought so many people together.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, from the VG stream perspective as well, definitely agree with you. Latin American community, they bring a next level of excitement. That must have been incredible. Well, thank you for that question, Logan. Nothing about the video games. We've got a question from your fellow Go-caster, Leo Koenig. Hello, Leo. Which region of the video games do you find the most beautiful, and which is your favorite, if it's not the same?
So he's asking this to be funny, because I have never played the video games. But so I will guess, what region was Black and White in?
Oh, Unova.
So Ben lent me his, I don't even remember what it's called because I haven't started yet.
Nintendo DS, it would have been.
Yes, he lent me this so I could play it because he said that it is the best video game. So I trust his judgment. Sableye is his favorite Pokemon. So I will say that the Unova is my favorite region. And then as for most beautiful, what was the one that came out on the Switch?
Well, there have been 2.
Okay.
There have been Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet.
Well, it's the Scarlet and Violet, because I just think aesthetically it's probably come the most far out of any of the games, and it's probably quite beautiful too.
Well, thank you for that thought out answer there, Amanda, and thank you, Leo, for the thank you for the question. And now, quick question to finish from Daniel Z: is Berserker really your favorite Pokemon? Now, that's not a Pokemon you've mentioned so far.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone who could seriously think that Berserker would be the best Pokemon. That person is probably incredibly silly. No, that is, of course, Daniel's favorite Pokemon. Does heavy damage. Berserker is a cool Pokemon. It's just not one of my favorites. Although it could potentially be, like, see, this is the thing about not completely rounding out your 6. If you don't give a final answer, you could be like, oh, yeah, it could be in my top 10, top 15, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, what you could do for your 6th, you could just choose a Ditto.
Oh, yeah.
Could be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you for that question, Daniel, and thank you, everyone, for the questions that you submitted. If you want to submit a question for a future episode of Chazingdra Chats, then you can find my socials, Chazingdra Chats, or just my personal ones, Chazingdra, where you can get involved and submit your questions for future guests. I'd love to hear what you'd love to hear. So, Amanda, we've heard a lot about your story up to now. What's next for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. As far as Pokemon go, as far as Pokemon goes, but then I said it's a
Go
go. And
goes,
no
yeah.
one's like, that worked. I'm here for as long as they have me. So I really love this community. I love being a part of it. I might consider, again, I travel quite a bit, so it's hard if I'm not casting an event to find a weekend that I want to like be away from my family. But I've been slowly thinking that I maybe want to compete a bit more next season, so maybe a little bit of that as well. We have championship points this season, was the first that we had it for Go. Watching people collect those seems kind of fun, and also like seems like a fun and interesting challenge. So maybe, not saying that I would want to like push for world's qualification, but maybe saying like, okay, by next year I want to at least get 100 points and see where that goes, and then maybe my more competitive nature may spark back up, and say, nope, nope, going for that world's qualification. But yeah, I'll still be playing the game. I'll still be casting events. I've started playing Pokemon Unite because it's pretty fun. Like I said, I did borrow Ben's game, so I might start playing VG as well. And I am already an avid like TCG liker in general, so I know the concept of Pokemon TCG. I've played it a couple times with some friends, so I mean, I start collecting cards. Like it's like poker now. I'm all in on this Pokemon thing.
Yeah. So really the answer to the question, what's next for you, is qualifying for
Pokemon.
all 4 games at the
Yes,
World
there we
Series.
go. It's like yeah, gonna get the Pokemon ring.
Yeah, exactly. Well, fantastic. And finally now, Amanda, looking back as celebrated Pokemon Go caster, much loved member of the community, back to little Amanda who thought that her family was bears in people
I'm still
suits.
not convinced that they're not, but
Yeah, we've got to make that caveat. What advice would you give to that young you?
so I really thought about this question when I saw it, and I would have to say, on a little more serious note, that I would probably tell myself, not you don't need to be liked by everyone, or you don't need to try to appease everyone, because especially I think as a younger child I was very extroverted, but a lot of that extroversion came in like, I just want this person to like me, and I'm gonna like really like almost maybe smother people with with love or affection, or some sort of thing, which I think can not be off-putting, but maybe can be a bit too much at times. So I think that if I had give advice to myself or just anyone in general, like, you don't need to be adored. You
Mm.
don't need to be like, sometimes people aren't going to like you, and you just have to be okay with that. And if you're the more authentic in who you are, you're going to find your crowd of people who like you no matter what.
That's a really touching note to end on, for sure. You do you, and
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
else will take
exactly.
care of itself. Well, thank you so much for that, Amanda. Wise words indeed. Now, the chat doesn't end there. Um, Amanda, well, first of all, stay tuned for the announcement of next week's guest, which is coming up shortly. But I'm also about to ask Amanda 15 or so minutes of bonus questions that she hasn't prepared
Ooh.
for, such as what hidden talents does she have, and what Amanda actually values the most out of the concepts of instinct, mystic, and valor. So if you want to hear them, then you can go and check out my Patreon page. Now, I really appreciate the fact that you have listened to this episode, and I really hope you've enjoyed it. Joining the Patreon, subscribing is a way of supporting the podcast and supporting me to ensure that I can keep creating content like this if you've enjoyed it. But again, only if you're in a position to be able to do that. And it's just fantastic to have you on board listening either way. So thank you very much indeed. And Amanda, thank you so much for coming on to Chazingdra Chats. Again, as I said at the start, thank you so much for your openness in what you've decided to share with us today. And as I also said earlier, we could have just kept going. So many fascinating stories from your life, but it's been wonderful to have you. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been a true pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I feel honored to be one of the first guests on the show, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where and how this evolves in the future. I mean, I assume that it's not a single stage evolution. We're going to see multiple branches of Chazingdra Chats in the future.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda. And no, it's been a pleasure to have you on, and fascinating as ever to talk to you. Now, where can people find you online, Amanda, if they want to keep up with you and your content?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube account. It's at Lundberger Pogo, and so that has some basic how to get into PvP tips, as well as some travel vlogs from the different regionals, as well as different places as well. I will probably put one out about Azerbaijan within the next week or so, and then you can also kind of keep up to date with where I'm traveling to and how to play Pokemon Go in those regions. Maybe meet some of the community members as well. And then also I'm on X as Lundberger. So those are two places. Thinking of maybe starting to stream next month. It's also on Twitch Lundberger, but there's nothing there yet. So you'll be sorely disappointed if you check that out now.
Do make sure you go and check out Amanda's content. I've dipped in myself, and it's really, you really highlight what the Pokemon Go community is all about and how warm everyone is there. So make sure you go and do that. And
Appreciate it.
if you enjoyed the show, then I'd love it if you would follow and like and comment and do all those things. Turn on notifications so that you are the first to know when a new episode comes out. This is an idea, this podcast I've been brewing for a little while, and so it'd be wonderful to hear what you think. Any and all feedback would love to hear. And also, of course, what you thought of this episode, what struck you about Amanda and the stories that Amanda had to share. She's certainly given us a lot of food for thought. And of course, also what 6 Pokemon you would choose for your dream team. I would love to know. So drop a comment about that. And if you want to keep up with all the very latest about the podcast and indeed about me, Chazingdra Chats, and then my personal account, Chazingdra, on X and Instagram and TikTok. You can join my Discord community as well. All of the links will be below. It would be a pleasure to have you there. And the guest next week that we will be having is the one and only someone who represents, like no other, what the Pokemon community is all about, the multi-talented Simon van der Bucht, who is amassing championship points in Go, VG, and TCG, a VG and TCG tournament organizer and judge, and sometimes a caster, putting me and you to shame. Right, Amanda?
He lives in Belgium, and he
Exactly.
is so I run into him because he's also hosting some of the Go Cups and challenges as well, helping our people get our championship points. The man really does do it all.
It really does. Where would we be without Simon van der Bucht? So you're going to want to tune into that next week. And worth noting as well, I'd love to branch out beyond the competitive scene too. This is a show that hopefully can apply to anyone, and no matter what their experience is of Pokemon. So any suggestions you have for guests, then do let me know. Any of the methods I've already mentioned, or chazingdra@gmail.com. You can email me. Fundamentally, I just want to make the best podcast that I possibly can for you all to enjoy. So do let me know. And again, any feedback, would love to hear it. All right, Amanda, it's time for these bonus questions. And if you're not
Bring
joining
it.
us for that, then it's goodbye from Amanda. And it's goodbye from me. And I can't wait to see you next time on Chazingdra Chats, where there'll be another 6 Pokemon, 1 life story. All right, Amanda, you ready for some surprise?
Charlie. Yes, hit me with it.
All right.